the wonder and the light of his soul. For many years, Eli walked the world with a bag on his back and a heart that felt too big for his chest. He left his small town one sunrise, humming a tune his mother sang, and promised himself he would see every sunrise, every mountain, every river. The roads were long, the towns were many, but each night he fell asleep under a different sky and woke to the same feeling, a quiet emptiness, like a cup that never filled. He walked through bustling markets where people laughed and shouted, and he watched their faces, hoping to see one that would make his own smile. He crossed deserts where the sun burned his skin, and the endless dunes made his thoughts drift like sand through his fingers. He climbed mountains where the air was thin and the wind whispered, "Are you looking for something?" Still, Eli kept moving because standing still felt worse than the ache of walking. One evening, after weeks of rain, Eli found a sheltered clearing in an old pine forest. The trees stood tall in the silence, their branches forming a soft roof against the drizzle. He set his bag down, lit a small fire, and let the crackle of the flames be his company. In the middle of the night, a soft rustle broke the rush. A small fox, its fur wet and shivering, emerged from the mist. Its eyes were bright amber, like two drops of honey caught in the firelight. Eli felt a strange pull, a gentle tug at his heart. He reached out a hand, and the fox, after a moment of hesitation, stepped onto his palm. The little creature curled up, its body warm against his chest. Eli whispered, "You're lost too." The fox looked up as if understanding every word and gave a soft, contented sigh. In that instant, Eli felt a flicker of hope he had not felt in years. Morning came, and the fox, who Eli named Mara, decided to stay. She walked beside him, her paw silent on the earth, guiding him towards paths less traveled. With Mira, the world seemed softer. Flowers opened where she stepped. Birds sang louder, and the wind seemed to carry a sweet, familiar tune. Days turned into weeks, and Eli began to notice how Mira moved. She would pause at a river and wait for him to drink, as if reminding him to pause himself. When the night grew cold, she would nudge his hand towards a hidden cave, urging him to rest. Her presence taught Eli the rhythm of listening, something he had forgotten in his endless wandering. One afternoon, they arrived at a small village perched on a hill. The houses were painted bright colors. The children chased each other down cobblestone streets. The scent of fresh bread drifted through the air, mixing with the smell of pine and earth. In the village square, a woman was arranging baskets of wild berries. Her hair felt like sunrise, golden and warm. Her eyes shone like the river after rain. She looked up, and when her gaze met Eli's, time seemed to hold its breath. The woman's name was Laura. She smiled, and it was as if the sun had risen inside Eli's chest. She walked towards him, her steps light, and said, "I have waited for you." Laura told him she had grown up hearing stories of a wanderer who would come with a small fox, a soul who understood the language of the earth. She had spent her life caring for the forest, healing injured animals, and learning the old songs that kept the world balanced. Mira, sensing the truth, brushed her tail against Lara's ankle. Lara knelt, her hands gentle, and whispered to the fox, "You have brought him home." Eli felt something inside him click, like a lock finding its key. He realized that all his years of wandering were not aimless. They were a path that led him here, to this moment, to this place where his soul could finally rest. Eli stayed in the village, building a small house near the river that ran through the valley. He and Lara worked together, planting trees, tending to animals, and sharing stories with travelers who passed by. Mira, now older, would sit at the doorway, watching the sunrise and sunset content. Laura complimented Eli in ways he never imagined. She taught him patience, showing him how to sit quietly and watch a hummingbird hover. She showed him how to listen to the wind and understood its stories in return. Eli taught her the songs of distant lands, the names of stars he had followed, and the art of navigating by the moon. Together they raised a family of children who grew up hearing tales of deserts and mountains, of a small fox who led a wanderer home. Every night the family gathered around a fire, and Eli would tell the story of how he once walked alone, lost, until he found the light that filled his emptiness. Years passed, and the valley flourished. The trees Eli and Laura planted grew tall, their leaves rustling like whispers of gratitude. The river, which had once been a lonely companion for Eli, now sang a lullaby for all who lived there. One crisp autumn evening, as the sun painted the sky orange, Mira lay down beside the fire, her eyes slowly closing for the last time. Eli held her close, feeling the warmth of her fur fade into the earth. He knew that she had fulfilled her purpose. She had guided him home. Laura took Eli's hands, her fingers warm, and said, "You are my home, Eli. You have completed me in ways I never thought possible." Eli smiled, tears glistening like dew. He understood now that being lost was not a curse, but a journey that led him to his soulmate, to love, to purpose, and to a life full of simple, beautiful moments. And so, under the ancient trees with the river singing beside them, Eli and Laura lived. Two hearts, two souls, one love, forever walking together, hand in hand, never lost again. The end. And much love, everybody. Hope you have an awesome day or night, and have an awesome week. And remember, if you like my stories and poems, definitely check them out in my playlist, which it'll pop up somewhere on the screen. It should somewhere, I don't know. Maybe at the end of the video. But anyways, much love. Mikey Fu, signing out, over and out.